If we need any more evidence to realize we're not a nation, we have become a holding corporation of the bankers. We got to get back to being a nation. What does that even mean? What does that look like? If we've been a captured entity with the District of Columbia, one of the three power centers around the world, like the City of London and the Vatican City, how do we get our republic back? How do we reconstitute the republic and not have 330 million people fight each other and scream like crazy because their religion says, or their pastor says, or their feelings say this, or I don't like the way you're doing that, or Orange Man bad, or I don't like digital money, or I hate Ripple, or we're going to argue until the cows come home while we're trying to reconstitute our republic and stop being a part of a corporation. One of the things that I think is the coolest thing in the world is that our Declaration of Independence recognized individual property rights, which means I can own a house, I can own a car, I can create wealth, I can pass my property on to my kids and grandkids. And that's very unique in the world. 209 countries, or however many there are, a lot of countries don't recognize individual property rights. They just don't offer it. But now we're putting together a system where there's going to be wallets, individual wallets, point to point, person to person in 3 seconds, no central authority, no middleman, no permission slip. I can send anything of value to anybody on this planet from my wallet to theirs in 3 seconds. Well, that's going to force, it's a forcing mechanism. That's going to require laws around individual property right ownership for 8 billion people around the world. How does that change China? How does that change Zimbabwe? How does that change Argentina? How does that change America? How does that change all of us? When we don't have any central authority middleman in there that can inflate the trust system, debase the trust system, steal from us, take 6 days to make the transfer happen, lose 5 or 10% of the transactions, charge us usury. Just because I want to transfer property from point A to point B to somebody, now all of a sudden we're fractionalizing and decentralizing the Bank of International Settlements and the Federal Reserve and all of these banksters. If we go back to I'll land the plane here. If we go back and think about what is the root of all evil, what is the driving for who benefits from us being sick and ignorant and lazy and angry and indulgent on every other kind of stupid vice in the world, who benefits from us not being healthy and independent and awake and standing our own authority and agency? It's those that want us that position so they can better deceive us. The three groups of people that assassinated Jesus Christ: the bankers or the money changers, the church people that were housing the money changers, and the politicians that were bought by the money changers. The money changers, the religious people, and the politicians. And we look at today and we look around us, where are the problems coming from? The central bankers, the George Soroses, the people that can make money out of thin air with no accountability and no transparency. They can buy any scumbag like an Adam Schiff and throw him into Congress, or pick your favorite politician that you hate. The money changers pervert the trust system, which is what money's supposed to be. They buy all of their buddies, they put them in positions of power, and because we're ignorant, we just go along to get along, or we fight with each other because that's just what we do, because we don't really know what else to do. We've been trained to blame somebody else. White versus black, gay versus straight, Christian versus Muslim, rich versus poor, old versus young. It doesn't matter. We're trained and pitted against each other by the people that pervert the money system. And then we all think, oh my God, more money, more happiness, less money, less happiness. and they keep us in this frenzied state of emotional chaos. So for somebody that's trying to decentralize and bankrupt and make the central bankers insolvent and stop making the money system and end the Federal Reserve and put the control back in the hands of the government, we the people, we're supposed to have a treasury, not a Federal Reserve. A Federal Reserve is a foreign occupying force headquartered in the city of London. It has nothing to do with the Constitution of the United States of America or our Treasury Department or our Bill of Rights. So, step one, if your house is flooding with sewage, stop the sewage from flowing into your house. Stop the chaos before you can't rebuild a house. You can't unify the people. You can't build trust. You can't level the playing field. You can't have a set of core unifying principles if the sewage is still coming into the house. You got to stop the sewage first. And what is that? That's the foreign ownership, the foreign corruption, the foreign fake money, which is not even money, it's debt. Look at your dollar bill. It says Federal Reserve note. It's not a US dollar, it's a Federal Reserve note. That is an IOU. That is a debt instrument to the issuing entity known as a Federal Reserve. They use the name dollar because it sounds good, and that's what we've read in our textbooks, and we're supposed to have dollars. Our money is a debt instrument. That's how we're in debt slavery, because we're indebted to the issuer of the debt paper, which is the Federal Reserve, which is not even a part of the United States of America. If we don't get our house in order, we're never going to even start back to square one, which was the Declaration of Independence that said we have these unalienable rights issued to us by God, and we don't need a permission slip from a politician for shit. So, in many respects, I'm extraordinarily excited about the changes and the transformation that are taking place. But we've been asleep for 100 years. We've been asleep since 1871. Or go back to The Creature from Jekyll Island, which G. Edward Griffin wrote about. This occupying force that took over our country in 1913 has been here. That was 111 years ago. We've been captive for 111 years by a foreign occupying banking force. And we thought we had a country, and we haven't been a country. We have been an owned entity by foreigners for a very, very long time, and we're coming out of it.